Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and today I have a flip through for you for the full Exploring Joy Faith Journal July 2025 challenge. I loved working through this. I actually made my own little booklet so I could go through each day and all the verses day by day, and that was really easy for me to pick up and bring different places. My last month has been super crazy with unexpected things popping up and just some travels as well, so this was super helpful to have this all set so that I knew that I could get this done, and then the art part would come later, which is why it is into August and I just finished this book. But I wanted to give you a flip through because I did not get to show you every one of these days like I had anticipated. I am very proud of myself actually for finishing this. I am not the best at like everyday kind of junk journal challenges, but I am proud that this is done, and I think it's beautiful, and it's gonna have some great reminders for me for joy. Joy is something that I definitely want to cultivate more of in my life, and so I think this is going to be a good little thing to have and maybe to share with. I know there are a couple of other ladies in my church. We actually had a women's retreat 2 weekends ago, and we were talking about different aspects of the fruit of the Spirit, and we all chose one thing that we were really feeling called to work on, and joy was mine, as well as a number of other I just thought it was funny, moms of kids around the same age as mine. We were all, like feeling drawn to work on joy. So anyways, all this to say, this is my little book I made. It did get a little bit chunky. I did have a couple pages in the back that I didn't use, and so I ended up taking those out. But it's not ginormously, like, it's not like the binding is going, so I really like how it turned out. So there are a lot of different styles in here. Now, originally I was going to go with my normal vintage vibes, and you'll see a lot of that in here, but you'll also see some bright colors peeking through. So let me start off. We're just going to walk through each day and kind of show you what I did. So this was one of my favorite days. This was a Tim Holtz backdrop. And then I took, sorry, it is clipped, took a little piece of the printables and did an R.C. Sproul quote right there. These are just some extra things that I bulk created probably about a year ago. But this quote says, "True joy is the fruit of justification by faith. It's not man-made or circumstantial. It is the Spirit's gift as He assures us of God's love." And so I've added that. And then these were some florals that I created with some By the Well for God paper that I had in my stash. And I had actually bulk made these for a different page that I was working on. And so I was happy to have some extras to add to this book. On this side, we have the verse Acts 13:52. And then a little quote by Guzik saying Paul and Barnabas had joy that contradicted their circumstances. On this day, we had a quote by Sinclair Ferguson: "Joy is the flag that flies in the heart when the king is in residence." And I just really thought that resonated with me. This was a paper that came in the printables, and then a little bit of Tim Holtz wallpaper, flowers, and some just little doodads and paper pieces in the back. Actually, this paper right here is from the book that I made this out of. So that was fun to use some of the pages and whatnot from this book. Next page, we are in Luke this day, and so I decided to kind of make it a Christmassy theme. And so we have this little postcard. We are in Luke 2:10 through 11. And then Spurgeon says, the coming of Christ is the wellspring of joy to the world. And then I just have a couple of other pieces. So I have this little piece and then this photo. I also made this out of some paper of another book. So I've just kind of put those in there sitting. And then these are just some other things I've bulk created. So I find that doing a bunch of floral or greenery pieces is really helpful for how I journal, whether that's junk journaling or Bible journaling. I really just like little sprigs of everything everywhere. I wanted to include some gold in this page, so I have this little seal, and then I put this little milk carton, Christmassy kind of themed one on top. This is a Tim Holtz thing. I actually have a ton of these, and I haven't used a bunch of the milk carton chipboard pieces. We also have a word study here from the next day. And then we get into this vintage looking page. As you can see, really love those foiled and greenery pieces. So I have this. I also had created these little rusty pieces at a retreat. If you've seen any of my videos, I do talk a lot about bulk creating, especially when it comes to projects like these. It makes it much easier to get things done. So you'll see a lot of the same pieces, but that makes it cohesive too. So it's kind of fun that way. But we have a quote by Herman Bavinck, I believe is how you say it. And he says, the more we rest in God's kingdom, the deeper our joy. And so I also have some splatters here of some Lindy's spray that I used. And then on this side, I actually found a quote from David Guzik in his commentary that says, fruit isn't achieved by working, but is birthed by abiding. And so, like I said, that is David Guzik. This is a little folder that was from a By the Will for God release. And I just made it into a whole another page. So in here, you'll have a little flip out. This is obviously from the book. So cheerful todays and trustful tomorrows. This is just a little thing that I paper clipped on from Tim Holtz. And then I made a little covering for my notes of Matthew 13:44. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which a man found and covered up. Then in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. And I just really, really loved this verse and studying it, talking about the treasure being the individual believer, the man finding it being Jesus, and the field being the world. I thought it was really cool seeing that. And then the next day we were in Philippians 1:18. What then? Only that in every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is proclaimed, and in that I rejoice. Yes, and I will rejoice. Philippians 1:18. I had this little faux enamel piece that I had bulk created as well. And then we just added a little book plate right here that says series. I just think it's so fun because you can see it throughout the book and not just on this page. Okay, next day, we were in James 1. So count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Sorry, we have apparently our, mowing guys here at our apartment complex, so I can't change that. But we do have a quote by Guzik in here. Faith is tested by trials, not produced by trials. And then Hebert says, he did not say that they must feel it all joy or that trials are all joy. In here, I had this little cluster that I created from scrapbooking store a couple months ago, maybe. I did a live on Facebook and we created this cluster, and I just love the song In the Morning When I Rise, Give Me Jesus. And so I had already done this, already had spelled out joy here, and so that was just perfect for this page. Next up, we have some stuff from Your Creative Studio. I had just recently received a package from them, so I have this little stamp. I believe it was a vintage post stamp box. I do have an unboxing on my channel. Sorry, the lawn guys are like right near my window. But anyways, John Owen says about Romans 5:1-5, the joys of the gospel arise from peace with God and abound even in affliction, for the Holy Spirit assures us of God's eternal love. And then we have another verse, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith. This was some leaves that I die cut out of some wood paper, so that was pretty fun. And then this page was also from a subscription kit from Scrapbooking Store. So I used some paper and made a tag. There's also some glossy accents on both the popsicle and the glasses. I'm not sure if you can see, but that tag is just clipped on here, so I could actually move that. It is 1 Thessalonians 5:16, rejoice always. And I just thought it was a fun little summer page, so I added this picture of these ladies at the beach together. Here is another file folder from By the Will for God. This one just has just a couple quotes and notes in here. Matthew 25:21. So I added some gold foiled numbers there. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And then a quote by Thomas Watson. The joy of the Lord is too great to be comprehended, but not too great to be enjoyed. And so I just made a little cluster over here with this real photo I found at a thrift or antique store of a little girl. I just thought it was fun, kind of hiding her behind this little gold greenery piece and using my Dymo label maker, writing out no greater joy. So like I said, I did experiment with some colors with vintage. I really have liked the look of bright colors with vintage lately, and so I wanted to test it out. So I also used another picture right here from Tim Holtz with some of his postage stamps and just some embroidery floss in the back. And I wrote the 2 Corinthians 1:24, not that we lord it over your faith, but we work with you for your joy, for you stand firm in your faith. I knew I was reading that wrong. And then I also just put another verse up there, 2 Corinthians 7:4. I really love this page because it is actually the front of the book, and someone had gifted this to someone in 1905. So I thought that was special to include in there. This was the page that I created for my video on July 25th, Unity of the Saints. I did include a Sinclair Ferguson quote, joy in the Christian life is bound up with the joy of seeing Christ formed in others. And this was for Philippians 2:1-2. I will try to link my video down below for this one, but it's very simple page, just a lot of cutting with my Big Shot machine and dies. We are going with color again. I know it is out of character for me, but something that I can play around with for fun in this book especially. So we have 1 John 1:3-4, that which we have seen and heard we proclaim also to you, so that you too may have full fellowship with us, and indeed our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son Jesus Christ. And we are writing these things so that our joy may be complete. And then I just used this paint swatch card. This was an old paint swatch card that I had in my stash before I got more paints and had to make a new paint swatch card. And I was like, hey, why not use this? Use some tissue paper and some washi tape just to add some different texture and colors to this book. Okay, so these are a couple pages that are super simple, but I feel like are super impactful as well. I really liked just having like a breather page because I just loved the greenery on here. But this is a quote by John Owen. I did add a little star because it is a star a paper from the principles. But he says, the sufferings of the saints are not punishments, but purifying trials, and to bear them for Christ's sake is an honor and a joy, for by them the church is served and Christ is glorified. And so I just love the simplicity of this page. Super quick to put together. So it's just an encouragement that sometimes your pages don't have to be super involved, but just having a simple page with a really good quote or verse is great as well. So this is some old die cuts that I had from a By the Well for God kit. So I just added that in here. This was from the printables. And then we just have some fun little fabric there with some washi. And it is a Thomas Watson quote. The saints shall have a joyful entrance into heaven, and Christ shall present them to the Father with triumph. It is a joy on both sides. Christ rejoices to bring them home, and they rejoice to be with him forever. And then the last 2 pages I have right here. This is some vintage lace ribbon that someone gifted me. I love it. And then we have another Herman Bavinck quote saying, faith in the exalted Christ transforms sorrows into joy. The disciples knew that in his absence he was gone, but glorified, and that joy no one could take from them. And then the last page, I have a John 16:24. So I had a little 16:24 up here with these marquee tiles or marquee letters from Tim Holtz. And then we just have, you know, some little ephemera pieces right here as well from By the Well for God, an old kit. John 16:24 says, until now you have asked nothing in my name. Ask and you will receive, that your joy may be full. So that is it. That is the full book that I created for this Faith Journal July challenge. I really appreciate you hanging out with me as I flip through this, and just walking through this study together was a joy. No pun intended. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know down below what your favorite part of walking through this study was. Please make sure you subscribe and like this video if you haven't already. And thank you so much, guys. Bye.